Walker Lawson, who has been on a number of developments lately, but the one we're just speaking on today is the River District. And as I said, I'm going to put myself in this story real quick. Walker, I told you I was at the groundbreaking when the River District was announced, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe at this point when I first got to Charlotte, and the scope of the project really blew me away. The things that they wanted to do, I think, my first question was, is the area in terms of infrastructure going to be able to handle this type of development? I think they're going to think about that later, which is seems to be the culture is. But anyway, we'll see what happens. There's a lot planned for this. I mean, it's going to be a large-scale mixed-use development. I'll let you run through some of the stuff, but 1,400 acres. It's big. It's massive. If you haven't been out there, it's by the airport. A lot of people have obviously voiced some concerns about, traffic with the airport, noise, that type of thing. And I know there's been some discussions with the city about that. So obviously we can discuss that at a later date. But anyway, it's going to feature 8 million square feet of commercial space. There's going to be retail space, multifamily units, and homes. So we'll start there. Talk about your, specific piece of the pie today, and what we need to update folks on this.
Yeah, so the first resident is officially moving in, which this is a big deal because when I actually went out to the site in June, we had reported about how this is a project that was originally proposed in 2016, and shovels didn't hit the ground until 2023. So it's a project that has taken some time to get here, a little slow moving, but they were anticipating these homes not being built till September. So they're actually now a month ahead of schedule. Right. So we were able to see the first person purchasing their home. But as you said, this project is massive in scope. When you think about a new development, which I've done it all in my 5.5 months here so far, but when you look at developments, you really just think of new housing and new projects, and this is something unlike anything I have seen in the Charlotte area. You have this them tapping into sustainability. There will be a farm on the site that people will basically grow vegetables and be able to grow different products there. You have walking trails, you have commercial space, you have retail, as you mentioned. This is really a one-stop shop in a sense. They are touting it as something that when you move in, you won't have to leave to get the essential items, of course, except for people that have to work in person still that do not work remote anymore. But you will pretty much not have to leave the premise of the site. And it's kind of funny because, as you mentioned, traffic again being a concern. This resident that we interviewed today is moving from Huntersville and is kind of breaking away from all of that traffic that you see at exit 25. So definitely interesting to see a project of this magnitude.
Man, can't wait. Obviously this is the first step in a line of many, but a big step, I think, for this project. The big question is, in Charlotte, is alternative transportation, transit, that type of thing, right? And I know, there's obviously CATS, the service out there, but I think it's the Silver Line that might be the closest to that area. Yep. Has there been any discussion about how folks may utilize that? Because let's be honest, and I've talked to Julie Kay about this, that really the culture in Charlotte really is to take a car and drive. I mean, that's the culture here in Charlotte, let's be honest, right? So it's going to take some, I think, getting used to and maybe some promoting and maybe marketing material to get people to ride public transit more often if they really are going to put money into transit here. Has anybody talked about that there in the River District?
Yeah, so the people that I've spoken to, again, really thinking about driving. It's just this culture that we have here in the South specifically. So the first guy that's moved in got a bike, which is what a lot of people will be getting that move into the River District, and that is the River District giving these bikes out to residents as they're trying to promote them biking in and around that community. Okay. Of course, traffic is going to be a question, but there's a lot of road work that's currently happening out in that part of town that they're working on that's a part of this project as well. So you'll see a lot of road work out there on the site, but there really hasn't been much discussion about alternative transit options and what they're looking at out there. They're really just kind of looking at this as being its own, I kind of want to say a city within a city in a sense, because you're keeping them within this community inside the city of Charlotte. So, you know, I think that it'll be interesting to see how many people actually come and go on a daily basis. Do they actually leave this area for other items? You know, you're going to have a grocery store there. There's going to be a school there. There's really a lot going into it. So we'll see kind of what that looks like in the coming months. But again, it's a project that they expect will take many of years, as you can guess. So,
Yeah.
he said, he joked, I hope I still have a job working on stuff out here 10 years from now. So it's going to be a long project ahead for people.
Yeah, it's a long range or a long scope type of thing, and you know, I think that's the idea overall for microtransit and for Charlotte thinking about the future. Really setting it up for folks who will come here, not necessarily for the folks who are already here, because it's going to continue to grow. So. But anyway, awesome. Anything else that we're missing that you wanted to kind of tell us about tonight? What time your story is? Let folks know
I'll
that
be
type of
live
thing.
out there at 5 and 6.
All right, they'll be live 5 and 6.
Yeah.
All right, man. Appreciate your time.
Of course, thank you.